Hi, I'm Tamara Hamai. I help impact-driven leaders to create more sustainable impact through every transition. Nonprofits today are facing a lot of challenges, and in this video I'm going to talk about my perspective on these challenges and what we really should do about it. There's a lot of wild stuff going on. Nonprofits are facing a lot of struggle when it comes to financial stability because our funding mechanisms are changing. As the federal government changes what they're funding and how they're funding, how they are operating and structuring their different departments, there have been both cancellations of funding as well as fear of cancellations of funding. Some of the things haven't happened yet, but there's people talking about things happening in the future. All of this can be really scary because it's not just funding, it's our way of being. As nonprofits and impact-driven leaders, we define ourselves through this impactful work that we do. And the idea that we might not be able to do it or do it in a way that we know how can be threatening. But y'all, I'm tired. I'm tired of every space that I go into being doom spiraling, complaining, and freezing in fear. Yes, things are challenging, but they've always been challenging. We've faced this before, and we really have faced it every day. Before all of these federal changes, nonprofits were facing challenges with funding, with instability in funding, with not having enough funding, with having programs that were not reaching all of the people that we knew they could or should reach, with operating in ways that were embedded in systems of oppression, things that were inequitable, that were complex and tangled and hard to deal with, like housing affordability, health, homelessness. The things that we're dealing with have never been simple, they have never been easy, and they have never been stable. If anything, all of the challenges that we're going through today that are unique to the specific policy changes that are happening, they're sort of par for our course. We were built for this. We have been talking about how we need to tear down our systems and rebuild them for years. Well, they're getting torn down. Maybe not the way we wanted it to, maybe not as comprehensively or intentionally as we wanted it to be, but they're getting torn down. And this is our opportunity to show up, rebuild those systems in the way that they should and could be. In order to do this, we have to step through the fear. Yes, we will be afraid. I am afraid, but we can't stop because of that. We have been working in the face of challenge for our entire careers and generations before us. So what are we going to do about it? It's time for us to step into action. What I have seen in the past and what we can look at in history that has worked for creating massive and important change is community, getting together and connecting with each other. First thing we need to do is to stop talking about the competition for funding. I have heard nonprofits for so many years talk about how there's limited funding and we're all competing for it. And that is wrong. It is wrong because it's a fake game. This zero-sum game that we are talking about is a myth. There is enough on this planet for everybody. It's about the allocation of those resources, the time, all of that. And it is just being allocated in ways that it's not equitable and it's not serving everybody who needs it. There is enough for all of us. Next, once we let go of that we are competing and against each other, that's when we can look at each other and see that we need each other. Coming together for collaboration is going to be critical for us to make our steps forward and to rebuild things in ways that are beneficial, removing the problematic systems that we've had in the past and creating a new future for ourselves. The current nonprofit industrial complex has a history rooted in racism, capitalism, and colonialism. We're not going to be able to get rid of all those things in an instant, but this is our opportunity to rethink how we serve humans, how we care for humans from birth through death, outside of the restrictions that we have been working within. What would we do differently if we didn't have a Department of Education? This is one of the things that I've heard people being afraid of, right? The removal of the DOE. What does that mean for us? This is just one example. What if nonprofits no longer had tax exempt status? This is another scenario that I've heard people be afraid of. These are important questions for us because they can push us to think out of the box that we have been thinking of. Together, no one of us has an answer or a solution. We've never been able to achieve the missions that we're aiming to achieve alone. They're so much bigger than any one person or organization. Instead, we can gather as a community and have generative discourse without the boundaries of it has to work in ways that one person thinks it works, etc. But everyone really having space to share ideas, bounce off each other's ideas, and generate things through conflict and through ideas into innovation. We can create something together that we cannot create individually and that we cannot create as individual people or organizations, but something that is bigger than what we could do alone. This sort of generative discourse and co-creation of innovative ideas for how to actually care for our own human race, that's what I'm inspired by, and that's what I really believe is what is important for us to be doing right now. Being together in this type of way where we're thinking about the ideal and best future and how we actually get there, that is inspiring and motivating and optimistic. It's not a doom spiral where we're talking about all the problems and reasons we can't do it, but rather assessing what strengths do we have, what assets do we have, what is the opportunity in the void that's being created. This type of forward thinking, I think, is an act of resistance and resilience. And it is also our way of moving forward into something that we've never even imagined or we've never fulfilled in the past. Our future can be better despite the fact that we seem to be diving toward the bottom. I'll leave you with that: community, discourse, and co-creation through collaboration. That's my perspective on how we succeed and thrive in the future. If you liked this video, hit like and subscribe for videos like this and videos a little more practical and more about the nitty-gritty of organizational and nonprofit life. Rock on.